I can't wait any longer.
Let's go.
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide. How could you have done this? How could you have committed suicide?
Damn, we need to make this thing even.
I can't believe it's you. Don't tell anyone. I'm not ready for this. Don't tell anyone. Thank you.
Hello and welcome all you Breenweavers. I'm Neil Knight and you are of course listening to the only podcast dedicated to the filmmaker Neil Breen. Firstly, can I just apologise, this podcast is a little bit late. I do like to try and get these out in the first few days, first week or so of each month, but this should have come out last month, really. I'm sorry, I have no good excuses, really. Just a little bit busy, a few things on my mind, taking up space, and plain forgetting, to be fair. So I absolutely, wholeheartedly apologise to keep you waiting for an extra month. Now, we've handed over an episode to more than one guest a few times before, but this time you get not 2, not 3, but 4 guests for the same price. And to say that price is 0, I'd say that's not bad value for money, really, is it? Several months ago, we talked to Gwendolyn Brown, who portrayed one of the 5 constantly tortured inmates at Cade Altair's bluntly named mental hospital in Neil's most recent film, Cade: The Tortured Crossing. Well, now we complete our set of patients as we talk to Judy Lay, Eric Lum, Landon Munoz, and Kevon Tyree, otherwise known as Patient Anne, Patient Tim, Patient Alan, and Patient Joe. First up is Kevon, Patient Joe, who is perhaps best known for being the inmate who frustratingly struggles to master the electronic keyboard, only to rise to the challenge and accompany the iconic flash mob dance a third of the way into the movie. What were you doing in this lead up to Neil Breen? Because from what I can see on the Internet Movie Database, there's no other official acting credits there for you.
No, there is not. I live in Las Vegas, right? I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, and Vegas is very much a hustler mentality. It was based off of East Coast people, Chicago. They built the city, and the kernel of that city is still that idea is still in the city today. And I'm originally from New York, so from that perspective, me and Vegas is like this. We love each other, right? So I'm trying to just do music stuff or acting stuff or something is in the arts. This thing happened to come up on a Craigslist ad, and I answered it and talked to him, and he just gave me a shot. I didn't know what I was getting myself involved in. It was just like a shot in the dark, and I ended up going for it and became what it became.
So were you aware of Neil at all before this Craigslist advert?
Absolutely not. I had no idea of the legend or infamy, depending on your point of view, of Mr. Neil Breen and what comes with that. I just came in blind and was like, this is an opportunity for something.
And what was the casting process? How did it go?
It was very simple, actually. It wasn't a lot of fuss or a lot of stuff. No one did a lot of read-throughs. There wasn't a lot of, actor experience and what's my motivation and none of that. It was just, okay, what are you interested in? This is what I'm trying to do. What do you think? Did this fit you? Could you do it? Availability. And he just kind of, I think, I want to say we tried our best to figure out what he wanted, because a lot of us, including myself, were really new to this type of process. And to try to dig into that was challenging.
When did you find out what character you were playing?
God, I knew when I arrived on set. So on set, it's like, you're playing this. Oh, okay. And this guy's dealing with this, and you're going to do this. Okay, right. And then we ended up playing multiple roles in certain situations. It was unique. Let's just put it that way. It was unique to be the patient and then to be the villain or one of the villain's henchmen. So basically on the screen, I'm fighting myself. I go to therapy for that. You know what I mean? I don't need that. All I know is I did it. He asked me to do what I did. He did Dance Monkey Dance, and I did my monkey dance.
I know some of the other people have said, some of the other cast members have said that they were asked to create a backstory for their patient. Did you get that
Right.
chance?
No, he didn't really say that to me. Now, granted, I'm not complaining, you know what I mean? But I just kind of was like dived in. Like, I know I had a scene where it was had like a piano, and I was messing with that a little bit, and I was upset and angry, and when he was trying to get something out of me, and it was difficult, because I'm an entertainer, but I'm not an actor. You know what I mean? I don't know. So you're just trying to be as present as possible and try to convey what you want to convey honestly.
How does he direct when you arrive on the morning and it's your chance for your scene?
He has a vision. I'll say that. I mean, you would have to, the way he sets everything up. He has a very precise idea of what he wanted and how he wanted it to look. So it's like, this room's going to be this, and we're going to do this, and you're going to walk up here, and it's going to be that. Cool. All right. Well, at least we know what our scene is, what we're dealing with, and that's fine. You know what I mean? That's no arguments for me. So that's kind of what we did. He gives us in places to play a little bit to try to find something out. He gave us some of those moments, but for the most part, it was a clear plan of what he had in mind.
And what was explained to you about the plot?
He definitely didn't give us a script. He didn't give us any of that. He just said, "This is the situation. I want you to do this, do this, do this, do this." So I had no plot. I had no script as far as that. But explaining the plot, it was, this is the situation. You guys are mental patients, and you're dealing with this. Or the bus got beat up and it's falling apart, and now you're walking through, and now you're dealing with this. Or you walk into the spot and you're talking to one of the brothers, you're dealing with that, that kind of thing. I mean, you see them, but like a lot of it, we're kind of like props in a lot of respects. Because, a lot of us are laying out here, or like passed out, or getting experimented on, you know what I mean? Or we're like the henchmen, and, doing this. And so we were kind of like prop pieces in a lot of respects.
And does that create any frustration in you and the cast?
In my experience, no. We kind of just went with it. We just trusted the vision. We trusted what we were doing. I know a lot of them have some theater experience, some acting experience. One lady, Nicole Vegas, she's had a couple of spots. She's done some more acting since then. I think she's an interesting woman. Obviously, I have no problem looking at her. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now, granted, I know she's a happily married woman with a family and all that stuff. I'm not trying to get at her and anything like that. I would never do that. I'm a respectful individual. With that being said, I'm looking. Okay, so there you go. Right. But right. With all that being said, no, we just kind of trusted the vision. We trusted what he was thinking about, and we just kind of because of whatever little experience we had, we just wanted to just go through the experience and see what it was like.
How did you find working on a film that was entirely green screen?
Weird. Weird. Right. I mean, obviously I'm nowhere to like Ewan McGregor or any cats like that, but all those guys that did those Star Wars movies, all those movies that have a lot of green screen and they have to deal with all of that. That was my first taste of me doing what they would say and go, what the are we doing here? What's going on? Right. But again, I did say I did trust Neil. I trusted his vision. He was very precise and exact about where things were and where he wanted us to move and how things wanted to be choreographed or staged to a certain or blocked in a certain respect. And he was very precise with that. So to that degree, we did what he asked us to do. So I appreciated that.
And in general, how did the filming go? Was it smooth day in, day out? Was it just kind of a smooth journey to make the film?
From my experience, it seemed to be. I mean, obviously, your version of smooth and their version of smooth is not quite the same. So I'll say for us, it was smooth because we did our parts. We did what we was asked to do. He took care of us. He was very gracious in that regard. But as far as his end of it, I'm sure it was a pain in the ass, as all things could. Because creating's a pain in the ass regardless. So I get that.
But did you ever feel that when you're in this gigantic studio, it's all green screen, you're doing a fight scene where you're fighting yourself and you've had no choreography, you're just throwing punches and stuff like that. Did you ever feel just like a bit silly? Did you ever feel a bit like, oh God, what am I doing? What's going on here?
I did later. I'll say it that way. I did later, but I'm a creative, so I believe in the process, and I believe in trusting it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I believe in trying to go for it and just seeing what that looks like. Now, later, that's a different story. But in the moments you go for it and you see if it works out.
So when you say later, are we talking about when you see the film?
Yes.
So
yes.
did you? Because I know he put on a little cast screening, didn't he? Did you go? Did you attend that?
I did. I did attend the cast screening.
And what's kind of the general reaction? You're all sat around, you with Neil, you're watching the film for the first time. What's kind of the the feeling in the room?
Surprised. There you go. That's a nice way to say it. I'm going to say surprised.
It's a very good word. Could you then elaborate on that, please? Where does that surprise come from?
Comes from. Okay, I was. Let me preface this. Let me say it. Let me preface before I say anything like this. I understand both perspectives of creating and entertaining. There's parts of yourself where you think I'm amazing no matter what I do, and you should just love me for me because I'm just that great, right? Which of course is a fallacy, because only other people can give that to you, even if we believe that in ourselves. You just have to believe that you can do it, and they're supposed to confirm it, right? And there's the other half that you have to build and create it, and it's all the work and tile to make that go. With all that being said, both those personalities clashed at the screening of this movie because I was just like, okay, I get it, I understand, but ... And I'm just like, okay, but that's what happens when you're a vessel. So you trust the process, and sometimes you're enthused, and sometimes you're not as enthused. But
so, how did you come out of that? Did you kind of come out of that screening kind of feeling fine, relaxed? It is what it is, or was there a certain amount of embarrassment or disappointment or anything?
No, I wished things could have been done in a better fashion. Obviously, once I saw the final product, but whatever my opinion is, it was his movie to make, and it was his vision to go, and I respect that and still do. So even though it sounds Colin Cowherd had a great saying, two things can be true at the same time, and I definitely love that saying because as you get older you find that two competing things can have their place within the same conversation. So have maybe as a creative, as a performer, like, really we're doing that, okay, but still be like, this was his vision, this was his thing, and that's cool. What I did not expect was people actually cheering and going, you was in that, oh wow, what's that? And I was like, what, really? Really over that? I was like, yeah, man. There's a bass player that I played with in the Purple Rain show a few years ago. And he actually reached out to me like, bro, I didn't know you did this movie, this Neil Breen movie. What the hell is this? And they had a good time. And then I made me look into it. And I didn't know there was actual watch parties of people watching Neil Breen movies, right? And then I saw one of them. And of course, they made fun of my, oh shit, when I saw the mansion there. And I was just like, right. They was like, holy shit, they just light out a whole bunch of birds started laughing. They was like, oh my God, look at them. Oh, you suck. And I was just like, but it was funny for them. It was funny. And so it kind of made me feel like I was part of the joke versus the butt of the joke, which was nice. I didn't feel like it was more like you stink. It was more like that's cheesy and silly and we love it for that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I always kind of imagine myself that, you're in that room. There's, some of these people you've been working with for a few weeks and you've got friendly with. Neil's there. You're all excited. You're watching the film back for the first time. Probably none of you know that there's going to be this scene where a CGI he fights a CGI, white tiger. But they see something like that. It takes you unaware. You're all in a good bit of a party mood. And I always think, surely there must have been kind of like people trying to hide their mouth. They don't want to offend Neil because it's Neil's vision. He's put a lot of work into this. But the natural response at something like that would be to giggle. Is that happening?
I'll say your take on it is fairly accurate, but I did not do that because I was too busy like wrenching on the inside, like what in the actual fuck, right? I was on that.
You know, you've worked with Neil. Where do you stand on this? Is Neil deadly serious about this as a piece of art?
Oh man, I have a very dualistic answer about that because even the worst entertainer in the world who has a platform big enough to do that, even if all their decisions suck, they still have to trust that they have a vision and make it worthwhile, right? They have to do that. All right. Now, granted, how they go and how much money they got to make it successful is a whole nother situation. There's a lot of songs on the radio right now that we know that are not that good, but they play them 1,000 times. But even in that, they find an audience, if depending on how far they go. I don't think that he meant it to be seen as comedy. But I also think that I'm not trying to speak for him. My assumption is that while I'm sure initially this kind of pissed him off for people to look at him and kind of do it that way, but because they're doing it in a sense that's, yeah, they're laughing at him, but not like laughing at him, looking down on him. They're looking at him as a form of entertainment that he never saw it as. And I would like to think, since he's still doing it, that maybe he's leaned into that. And he's like, okay, well then my vision may not be the way that I thought it was, but it does have an audience and it does have people that relate to it. Maybe not in the way that I envisioned, but there's still that pocket audience that I know that want to see my work.
Any ideas on who that lady in white was? The tiger that turns into the lady in white?
Not a clue. None. 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 I have no idea where that plays at all. That is it. That is the fever dream of Neil Breen. No clue. I don't know where that came from or why. I mean, I don't smoke anything, but I don't know if he does either. That's a hell of a fever dream, Jack. You know, that's all I can say. So yeah, what are you doing? Really? For real? Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's as close as we got. Right. We're just like, what are you doing? That makes sense to you? Okay. Fuck it. Let's go. You know what I mean? That's all we got. That's all we got, which is fine. Perfectly fine.
Were there any moments that really stick out to you over the course of filming? Any moments that were kind of noteworthy that stuck in your head?
The camaraderie and just being really nice people, being really gracious, being really helpful. We're kind of incorporating with each other, trying to help each other bring this vision to life for Neil. And that camaraderie and that kind of kindred spirit, we all kind of with a makeshift family for like a couple of days.
Keep on listening because we've got more interviews coming up. But first, please allow me to say thank you there to Kevon for talking. Kevon currently plays in a Prince tribute band and regularly performs at the V Theatre in Las Vegas. And you can follow Kevon on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by searching Kevon Tyree Music. Now we go to Landon Munoz, who played Patient Allen. As these character names are never uttered in the film or even listed on Internet Movie Database, I feel I should point you towards identifying these people on screen. Landon is the longer-haired male with a prominent tattoo down his right arm. As you'll hear, he was quite the busy cast member, taking on several roles throughout the film.
I had already graduated college and been on a handful of films, features, a lot of shorts. So, I've already kind of been doing some work. It was, though, in college that I discovered him when, what was it? I think Faithful Findings came out, and that was it. I was like, and then Twisted Pair came, and then I was like, my girlfriend and I, so she turned me on to Neil. And I was just like, man, this guy, his movies are brilliant. We watched Twisted Pair together, and I was like, I'm going to be in one of his films. I want to be in one of his films. And then lo and behold, it was a couple of years later, I saw a Facebook post, or it was Facebook or Craigslist. And I was like, oh, he's either this is the real Breen or not. But I'm like, I'm showing up either way. And I hit up the number, and then the rest is history. Yeah.
And why was that? What was it that was attracting you to be in a Neil Breen film?
It was because it's an indie production. I mean, you watch any of his films, it's all footage. They're all locations in Vegas. And me being born and raised in Vegas, I'm like, oh, I know where that's at. Oh, I know where that building's at. Holy crap, this guy's filming these movies here. What is it? Twisted Pair was all at the CSN Cheyenne campus, which I went to school at.
But were you aware of the mockery that his films do get from certain people?
Yes, of course.
So did that didn't put you off in any way? There was no kind of concern about, could I then become the focus of mockery?
I mean, I would love that. I love comedy. I like horror. I like a lot of different genres. Could it, destroy my career future and, future castings and stuff like that? Yeah, maybe. But just to get, to work with the guy, I was stoked. Just
thinking about what you were saying there about this excitement of the location filming, these places you recognized. Was there then a sense of disappointment when you kind of get to set and you discover it's all green screen?
I think Gwen said it. We show up to this warehouse. It's right off of the Sunset Street. We show up to this location super early in the morning. Call times, 7 a.m. And it was like 2 stories high, went straight up in just this massive warehouse, all green screen, which so cool. Yeah, I mean, it would have been kind of cool to shoot on location, but the mystery that was behind it definitely left a lot of questions unanswered for at least the first couple shoot days. I think it was like the 3rd day, Neil was like, all right, guys, we've been shooting, everything's going really well. I kind of want to give you guys a little taste of, what this film's about. And because I can't see a script or nothing, we don't even know what space we're working with, on these moments. But he actually had like a live, monitor showing those images, and they were super detailed, and proportions are questionable when you watch the film. But I mean, you could see us moving in that space.
What was the audition process for you?
It still gives me goosebumps to this day. I'm like, okay, I got this audition with Breen. Man, I was standing on pins and needles. I was so nervous, but I was like, okay, gotta go. Gotta wear a nice suit, business casual, leave the top button unbuttoned. I show up, I'm decked out. I have, resume in hand. I have headshot. I have monologues, ready to do cold read, and show up to the architect office. And it had that double staircase that like goes up to the 2nd floor. And he's used that in a couple of his scenes. I think in I'm Here Now, the chandelier, tile floor, double staircase going up. I'm like, this is it. Oh my gosh, this is the room. This is it. The building. I go up to the stairs and I see Breen up there, and I'm like, wow, how you doing today, sir? It's a pleasure to meet you. And he's like, I don't know if you've seen any of my films, but I'm on my 6th one. And I was just like, yeah, oh yeah, I've seen some of your films, yeah. Trying to downplay it a little bit. Very familiar with your work, sir. I look forward to, working with you. And he's like, great, well, what's your availability look like? Yeah, I told him what my schedule was for the week, and that was it.
Hired you on the spot.
Hired me right on the spot. He's like, I have a part for you. I think I'm gonna have you play the detective. I'm like, oh, great, because I'm dressed business casual. Okay, that's good for the part, I guess. And I didn't get detective.
When do you find that out then? Do you find that out the first day of set, or have you been warned that you will actually be playing a different part?
Yeah, I was just told, first day of set, what I was going to be.
Gwendolyn talked, didn't she, about a bit of backstory for your character, your patient Alan. So did you have time to do that? What was the backstory to Alan then that you came up with?
I kind of waited a little while for other people to come up with their ideas so that I could kind of gauge mine. So we're not kind of choosing the same thing or, piggybacking. And I was like, well, everybody needs a drug addict. Why else would I be in a facility? I didn't know the facility was going to be this bad.
So you're not given a script at all. When it comes to an average day of filming, how does that work then when you've got lines to deliver?
They're not so much lines, but maybe a line. And it's really, he gives you like this emotion. He gives you this really strong feeling. So you're like, okay, I'm distraught, or I am enthusiastic. You're seeing the most beautiful thing in the world, and it's going to be the castle. How are you going to play with that, with the character that you've built? And you're like, oh, okay. So you kind of ad lib and it improv at that point. But if he just doesn't he got to a point where he get to a point where he's like, okay, I don't like where you're going with this. You're being too theatrical, being a little too flamboyant. I need you to tone it down. I need you to be more neutral, just more, or it's too flat. It's too flat. I need you to be more theatrical. He'd throw those at you. Ultimately, it would come down to, if he wanted you to say something specific, we'd just kind of go back and forth a couple times. And then I'm like, all right, Neil, what do you want me to say? And he'd say, I want you to say this word for word, just as he says it. He doesn't want anything extra bells and whistles. If it's flat, if it's theatrical, however he said it, you say it just like Neil. He loved it.
How much then are you ad-libbing compared to how much are you just kind of say what he's dictated to you?
Probably a good 90% is dictated. Man, and I was like, well, I would love to see a script or, what's going on in the scene and stuff. And he kept that real private. I did get a chance to peek at the script. He left it out one day. And I'm like, there is a script. Oh my gosh. I think Gwen said that on her podcast. I was cracking up. I think we said the same thing to each other. We're like, it's real. Oh my gosh. There was a lot of bullet points, things underlined. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's a little bit of dialogue, more like action, scene by scene. I'm thinking he's probably editing along the way of us filming. So day by day, he's getting all this footage. And he's a one-man show. It's crazy. It was him and this other gentleman, John, the camera guy. He acted a little bit in it too. It was just them two. And he was a visionary. He came with all the props, builds, the set designs. I think maybe he rented some of the equipment, but a lot of it, I think, was all made by him.
Day to day, was it a smooth process mostly?
Yeah, for a film set, it was very smooth. Very easygoing. There some very long days. I was working full time at the time as well, and a couple of the other actors. I know Eric was working a lot, and Judy too. And Eric and I, we were on this thing where we just take these little power naps. Oh, we're not needed for a few scenes, So we take a nap for about 30 minutes or something. Wake up, okay. Get your turn, get it back out there. We got to do some choreography, do some fake fights.
Talking about, the fight scene, I know, none of that was choreographed. But do you get a chance to research? Do you get a chance to get your phone out and have a look at some fights and come up with some moves?
So Amy and Nicole, they actually got to choreograph and kind of map out their little fight. And that was like the first fight sequence I think they recorded. And I was like, oh, great. Okay, they're actually choreographed it. I feel like there should have been maybe a few more takes on that. I'm not passing judgments by any means. But, to get some different angles, some different shots, if at all possible. As I've done, stage combat, I have experience with that. So I was excited to, do some choreography with, one of my fellow actors. But then when it came down to it, I think he found it would be just easier for us to just punch the air. And then he was going to, CG us fighting ourselves, but with ski masks on.
Yeah, because you were doubling. Well, I said doubling up. You might have been triple or quadrupling up. How many roles did you play in the film, Cade?
Oh man, I play one of the hospital patients who kills the doctor. I played the masked guy who's just the hand that drags the castmates off and they're screaming. I played a security officer. I think that's it. Yeah, and then the ninja.
The patients at the hospital, we do see you out on the street being kidnapped. So as a patient, have you been kidnapped off the street and brought to this hospital?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah.
And luckily you were all dressed the same in grey T-shirts when you were kidnapped on the streets. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the dance. I take it as a dream sequence, but how do you take it?
What Breen had told us was we're given this miracle drug and they're testing us and we're overcoming all of our illnesses and stuff. And there's a part where I'm wearing a boot, like break your leg. and then crutches, and there's wheelchairs. So all of us are kind of like, physically damaged, but internally damaged as well. But in this moment, we are feeling so good from this miracle drug or something that we tear all that off, which they didn't ever film that part. They never put it in the film. There was a part where we tore off our things, and then we got all this energy, and we get up, and then it's like we practice fighting, and okay, guys, you're doing great. And it was like a congratulatory, and then we had the dance sequence.
Gwen said that you each came up with a move. That's how the dance was choreographed.
I didn't really contribute much to the dance, to be honest. I'm like, what's going on here? Why are we dancing? Yeah, I kind of followed everybody else's lead, and it turned out cool.
So is this just that you didn't contribute and others did, or is this Gwen trying to pass off the choreography onto everybody else when actually it was her?
Oh, I think Gwen definitely started the choreography dance routine herself. I think Eric and I, we were a little like, I don't know, but I think Gwen and Judy definitely did the dance choreography. I think all I heard, it was going to be like a Tiesto song, or it was going to be like Dead Mouse. I'm like, EDM dance music for real? And he's like, yeah, it's going to be a great song. We're coming up with it. Somebody's laying out the track for us. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't know how I would dance to that music. Maybe just like fist bump in my in my raver days. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe some shuffling or something, but he wanted everybody to do like flash mob style.
Was the blood on the face explained to you is this a side effect of the testing, or was that explained to you at all?
No, not really. I think probably a side effect of the testing, it sounds like.
And again, I'm just interested in the direction or the explanation to what's happening in this. It's where, it's a close-up of your face, you're in bed, you presumably sleep, you wake up, there's then some kind of fear. Yeah, there's some kind of fear. And then you close your eyes and go back to sleep. Again, is this explained to you? How is that scene shot and directed? Is it explained to you at all?
It was a very long moment for me to be for Neil to get me to do the right thing that he wanted for that moment. He said, there's going to be something that startles you in the middle of the night. It just be the most scared you ever are, and then bring it back down to a 0. So go to like a 20 and then reel it on back and go right back to sleep. And I'm like, in my mind or in the real world, that would never happen to me. I mean, so in that moment, yeah. And then I watch the film and I hear that blood curdling, like monster, like horrific sounds. And I just bust open, and then I go right back to sleep. And looking at it, I'm like, well, he's a drug addict. He's probably used to that kind of thing. He was probably having a bad trip.
Well, one thing that's confusing as well is the fate of your characters at the end of the film. It seems to suggest that you've died in the fight, yet we then do see you again at the end, or we certainly see, I think we see you. We see Judy and Eric and Gwen. We do see them. Is there any explanation as to what's happened to your characters at the end of the film?
We fight a bunch of masked figures who are, don't want to let us out. Did we die during that? Maybe that was our freedom being released into the spiritual world. Maybe it's like, at the end of Star Wars, we show up things like the ghosts at the end.
And how, did you enjoy the film?
My girlfriend and I watched it, and we were cracking up the entire time. We had some popcorn, had a couple beers out, and it was a great time. Masterpiece, another masterpiece. I don't like watching myself, but this film, I genuinely enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It was a great time.
Did you get to know Neil at all through this?
I'd show up early and kind of help him bring supplies into the building, and we'd have some great small talk. And he's a busy guy. I mean, he still does architecture, and he's still working, and I mean, that's pretty cool within itself. But it was like the advice when it came to like filmmaking that he gave me, the nugget of like creativity that kind of inspired me to start writing more. One thing that'll always stick with me was he said, everybody, around the world, everybody's writing. We have writers and everybody's creating films and stuff. He said from every country, you're going to have somebody writing the same scene, but in a different language, of course, spoken language, but it's pretty much the same synopsis. Husband comes home, finds out wife is cheating on him. How does it play out? He's like, now, how are you going to write that scene, but totally different? And that's maybe where the whimsical, where or the offhanded comment comes in, or, dragon swoops in the building, out of nowhere. That's how you set yourself apart from the mundane tasks that people write in films. And I think that was awesome piece of advice, because it kind of like, it takes away like, well, that wouldn't happen in real life. Well, why not? I mean, it could. Oh, here's a little one that popped up for me that I was like, oh yeah, I need to bring that up, is when we're running away, I forget what moment that was. We're all running out of the facility. I think we're like escaping, and just running like our lives depended on it. And I think this was Neil's like idea of a joke, but he says everything very flat, very straight, so you don't know if he's really joking or not. He's like, okay, today we're not having lunch, and he just looks at you deadpan, and you're like, okay. And he's like, of course there's lunch. And you're like, oh, you got me. Oh man. It's he do a lot of those. They were hilarious. But it was that running scene specifically. He's like, now I know you guys don't know what the film is, and this is towards the very end, you don't see the script or anything like that. He was very aware of all that. He said, but in this scene, there's going to be an alien ship, and these aliens are coming down, and they're blasting everybody, and you're running for your lives. So just look at that big UFO up there, and you point to the big green screen spot. And you're like, oh, okay, UFO. Don't comment on it. Just run. Like they were chasing you. I'm like, so there's aliens in this film, and we're like, there's there's magical things, and then you're hearing, dungeons, and you see some of the sets, and you're like, oh wow, that's a gnarly looking room. Okay. you just go with it. You're going with it. There's a tiger scene. Yeah.
But did he admit that was a joke? Did he say, oh no, the aliens is just a joke?
100% no.
So you're sat there watching the film, waiting for the aliens to arrive.
I was waiting for the aliens. Yeah, I'm like thinking is going to be like American Horror Story. I think it was the second season where they're in the rehabilitation, the psych ward, and there's like an alien segment at the end. You're like, oh, there really is aliens. Okay, cool. We're going with it.
Stay tuned, please, for our final interview, as you'll hear certain threads picked up, which might lead to a few contradictions as well, possibly. But in the meantime, you can follow Landon on Instagram at Landon_Munoz. And can I thank him so much for talking to me there about his experiences. Finally, we come to husband and wife duo Judy Lay and Eric Lum, very kindly here talking to me from a poolside at their hotel during a vacation. Eric and Judy are the two cast members of Chinese heritage, and sadly their romance can't be accredited to Neil Breen, as they were already very much together before appearing in Cade. You will pick up on a little bit of background noise from the hotel during this interview. I hope you don't find it too distracting, and I promise you it does lessen quite quickly into the talk. So where were you in your careers at this point before you ventured into Cade, the Tortured Crossing?
I think we were like 2.5 years in, maybe 3 years in. Mm-hmm. We started during COVID. Our careers for acting and taking classes and getting involved in the community started during COVID, actually.
Yeah, 2019, end of 2019.
Yeah.
Judy was like, why don't we just take acting classes, and a combination of that and gaining the confidence and the mindset from Tony Robbins.
Well, it was kind of like another sense, like putting it out into the universe for us. Like we were open to, getting involved in some ways. So I went online and I found like an acting class on Groupon, and we literally just signed up.
Yeah, and we've been with them ever since. We're still going to the same school.
We still train with the same teacher.
Frank and Dreamtracks.
So how did you come across Neil Breen? How did you come across the casting for the film?
Was it a Facebook?
Something like that.
We may have saw something on Facebook, and we applied.
And then we met him.
And then
in person.
And then we went to a meeting to meet him in an office building.
Like some random office building.
Some random office building.
Very Neil Breen.
And we go up there and we're like, we don't know who we're looking for. We don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
And he comes out. No. We see the receptionist and we're like, we're here to see Neil Breen. And she's like, okay, just sit down and wait. He'll come and get you. And he comes out. And we just get like the most awkward, eerie feeling. And we're like, is this even real? Like, because, we've heard of
we
like...
had to read the contract and like go through it together, like in a meeting room. And then we were like, oh, okay, we're going to think about it.
And Neil's he's got such his own personality.
Yeah, he's
such a unique person.
Yeah.
And we love him. We got to know him
when
pretty
we first met him, we were like a little like, we're like, okay, is this a real project? You know what I mean?
Because we've heard of scams out there.
We read about him a little bit, but we didn't like completely do all of the research when we met him. Mm-hmm. But after the meeting, we looked at everything. He even was very he's very transparent about everything. So and so therefore we were like, let's go ahead. And we even went to our teacher and we were like, hey, can you check this out for us? Because we always ask him like, can you double check, make sure these are like legit, or he always tells us,
we asked
you can
him,
always come to us, and he was like, just do it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I was kind of leaning towards like maybe not doing it, because I was like,
there were people that
seems kind of iffy or
right. There were people that didn't go for it.
There was a friend of ours who was in the same meeting with us and didn't end up.
And they were like asking us, and we're like, we're doing it, and they're like, we don't know.
Yeah.
But most of everybody that was in that room.
Yeah, because we've never heard of Neil Breen before, and we Googled him, and then we're like, his videos are it's out there, but we're like, they seem kind of different. So we're like,
but
I don't know.
Long story short, we're really glad we were a part of it, because we learned a lot from him, and him as a person, like in general, like we love Neil.
Yeah, he's
so
awesome,
funny.
amazing person.
He's hilarious.
So what was it you say there that you were a little bit unsure at first? You weren't sure.
Yeah.
What elements of that kind of casting process was it that was maybe just making you doubt things a little bit?
It was just like going through the
verbiage
of the contract. It was very like,
this was probably one of our first like contracts we had to sign.
We weren't familiar with it, and it was kind of uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's friendly, but not like super friendly.
He's very honest. He's
very honest and blunt up front, and it's like
no, he's very friendly.
Once we started working with him, he got a lot more.
He's just like, okay, this
friendlier.
is business.
Yeah.
So.
And was this, when you say contract, was this the NDA as well? Because I know he does get people to sign NDAs, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
And was that explained to you? Why was it explained to you why he wanted you to sign an NDA?
Yeah, he answered every question we had.
He's very protective of his work, like before it gets released, so that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
And us being like, fairly newer, we were just kind of like making sure like, everything was okay before we even move forward.
Is this something we want to be involved in?
Yeah.
Is it real? Like just questions.
So when you did your research and you saw some of these clips, I'm presuming of his previous films and such like that.
Exactly.
How did you feel about that then, kind of after you'd seen those clips? And
we had a good idea. We were like, okay, this is the movies that he does, and we're getting involved, and he was telling us it's gonna be really great. So we're like, all right, cool.
We kind of just like.
We just went with
Once
it.
we said okay, we're like, okay, whatever happens happens. We just
and it was that
How did you feel about them possibly being involved in a film like this that could receive a kind of mockery?
I mean, of course, I think it did cross my mind, like, is this going to be good or have a negative effect on our careers, or
Yeah, that's why we talked to our coach.
Yeah, and we don't know what is a good idea to do or what not.
And then our coach just said, just do it.
He said, just do it, and
it's like, is it paid? Is it? Do you have a place where you're gonna go to? Or and it's Neil Breen, just do it. We're like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So when you get cast and you've got the parts, what are you told?
Yeah.
What are you told about the parts you're playing, about the script, about the story? What are you told?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
He just said, okay, you guys are patients in a hospital, and this is kind of what's happening, and this is what's going to happen in this scene, and then, okay, that's it. And every time we're about to shoot a scene, we don't even know what we're doing. We're just sitting there waiting for him to call us and say, okay, Eric and Judy, you guys are in this scene, and this is what I want you to do, and this is what I want you to say, and then this is kind of how I want you to say it, and then just go.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's how we shot every scene.
And did you find that challenging as a pair of actors who, you know, are used to getting a script? Did you find that challenging?
One of our first experiences.
We shot for
not our
2 weeks, right? And then we went back for. We had to do pickup shots.
Mm-hmm. So it was kind of nice to not have to memorize any lines.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have no context for what you're saying or why you're saying it. So you just kind of are just trying to just say it in a way that he feels okay about it or good enough. And that's it. You don't know what you're doing.
And how was the process? Was it smooth?
For the most part, it seemed like he was
pretty smooth. Like
it was pretty
most of the
smooth.
time.
He was pretty organized in terms of like, okay, this is what we're gonna shoot. This is what we need to get, and we just go scene by scene by scene.
Sometimes him and is it John? Sometimes him and John,
I think it was John.
The videographer, like sometimes like basically we always thought of them like as a married couple because they were always like sometimes it would be like between them, and then we would just be like you know, doing our own thing, like waiting for everything to start. But it was always a good time on set. Actually,
we always had a good time.
We had a good time.
Yeah.
It
was a lot of fun.
Neil brought us sandwiches to make we made it ourselves.
Yeah.
It was a trip, but it was fun. And he would literally bring us like sandwich bread and, you know, sandwich meat, and everybody just make your own sandwich DIY.
Yeah, we shot for 2 weeks, and every day was sandwich meat, sandwich bread, and
so
chips.
Funny.
Is there any sense of confusion amongst you all as a cast when you're saying, well, you know, we don't exactly know what the plot is here, or why is this happening? Is this a regular discussion amongst the group?
I think we just got used to it. We're like, okay,
yeah.
you just kind of go with it.
Yeah.
It's his world. It's his mind. When you're stepping on set, you're stepping in the mind of Neil. And
even if you ask him questions like, so
he's just like, don't worry.
Don't worry. I'll take care of it. And then, you're just, I mean,
he's so
at first
funny.
It's very confusing, and then
he's
after
so
a while,
weirdly funny. It's awesome.
Yeah. And you kind of just like give up. You just like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to do whatever you tell me.
We're just there to, you know,
have a good time and make it happen. Yeah. And you have no idea who you're talking to either. Like, every scene he tells you what to say, and he doesn't even tell you who you're saying it to.
Screen, so you're like, all right, you're going up to the castle, okay?
Yeah. And a lot of it was just like, okay, you're going to walk from this point of the room to that point of the room, and you're going to be looking at the mountains or whatever, or a castle or something. And it worked out somehow.
I think the fighting scene was my favorite. It was so fun.
Judy, this is for you really, but you of course were the winged warrior.
Yeah.
Well, for one shot anyway, you were the winged warrior. Now, it has been noted, of course, that those wings were on upside down. What was there a reason for that?
I don't know why. I think we just put it upside down by accident.
So who are we blaming this? Are we blaming you for this or Neil for this?
We don't know. I'm the winged warrior.
Because you've kind of got like another T-shirt or something, haven't you? I think kind of covering over here. I presume that was to cover the straps. You know, we couldn't see the straps.
Right.
But I wondered if there was any logic, or so we're saying the upside down wings was just purely a mistake.
Yeah, it was funny.
And the miming of the windows in the car. At what point was that kind of realised?
That's what he told us to do. We were like, are you sure that like you don't want to just roll up the windows? Like, no, just pretend it's there, and
I think
it'll all look good.
I think if
it'll
yeah,
be
the
perfect.
windows were rolled up, like it would cast too much like a shadow or a glare,
reflection, and the
reflection
sound might be affected.
Right,
so.
the picture would not look good either.
Yeah, I think he wasn't very particular about a lot of things. He just wanted to get it done. So, and John was like always. That's kind of why they bickered a lot sometimes, because John was like, "No, this is not going to work. This isn't. If we want to get the shot
and then
right."
we're just like the children in the background, like just waiting, like for mom and dad to.
And Neil was always like, "Don't worry about it. Just get it done,
And
or just do it.
Together
Trust
for a
me, or
while.
whatever." And he's like, "Have I ever steered you wrong or something?" I don't know. They always like, they're just like.
And we would just be like on the like side, like, you know, laughing and.
Yeah, but they're both the sweetest guys.
They're both amazing.
Yeah.
How did you find working on a purely green screen set?
You're in confusion all the time. You have no idea what's going on. And then you kind of
not only the green screen confused.
Yeah, but you just like, okay, you just kind of have to trust them and say, okay,
yeah, right, exactly.
It looks good, so
moving on.
And you're kind of just have to be like, okay. It felt restricted in a way, and it felt liberating in a way, the entire process, because like I said, we had the freedom to kind of just do whatever we wanted, but you know, as actors, you're always like, is it good enough? Is this what you're trying to get? Like, am I doing it right? I don't even know what the scene is about or what I'm doing. So you kind of feel lost and restricted the whole time, but at the same time, there's no right or wrong. So you kind of have that bit of freedom, I guess. He was excited about it, and he felt good about it. So that's all that mattered to us.
He loves what he does.
If it's good to him, then that's all that we cared about.
Okay, cool, Neil. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Was your story then that you were being kidnapped off the streets and being brought into the hospital and then kept there against your will and experimented on?
Kidnapped. We were just kidnapped.
It was a little confusing. I don't think that the story was ever very clear to us. But we were told we were mental patients, and that we were going to be staying in a facility that is not good and is using us for testing or something, and that at some point we were going to be taken in the middle of the night against our will by the bad guys or something.
I know at times you have blood on your face. Is this a symptom of the experimentations?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think that was, yeah.
And at the end of the film as well, it's kind of set up that maybe you've all been killed. Then we do see you again then as Cade is leaving.
Oh yeah, we become powerful too because of Cade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is there some kind of resurrection?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then we have the story of the dance. I always took it as a dream, but I think you guys kind of will say it wasn't. Was that not a dream sequence?
We weren't told that it was a dream sequence, and we have no idea why it existed in the first place. Well, he told us he's going to have a surprise for us during the shoot. And then the surprise was, okay, I got a backtrack of a song that I had a friend make, and I want you guys
you wanted to put that song in.
Yeah, and I want you guys to make up a dance. Just do a dance. And
as mental patients, just go
yeah, and literally we had to just make something up
like on
the spot, right. and turn it into some kind of like he said he wanted it to feel like a flash dance.
Well, Amy has a lot of experience because she's like done musical theater and dance,
and she's a dancer.
Triple threat.
Yeah.
So like she was like, all right, let's do like this. And we all had like different looks, like they had different wigs. Yeah. So it made it look like there was multiples of us, which was hilarious.
We started out as like a game, like okay, you make a move, and then I'll make a move.
You think of one move, and then we'll put it all together.
And then Amy was kind of like
multiple moves.
Yeah, right. and Amy was kind of like the ringleader.
She was helping us.
Pulled us in, helped us make it organized.
Amy
kind
Solomon,
of.
yeah.
But yeah, Amy had the most experience as a
She has
dancer.
no experience, so she was like, let's do, like, all right, do this. And then we're like, cool. And then we were like, yes, let's just all come up with one move each, and then we'll just combine it together. That's what I remember.
At the end of the film is finished, did you guys go to the little screening that Neil did of it?
Yeah, we went to a screening
it was our
a
own,
while later.
Yeah, it was our own private screening with all the actors.
Yeah, it was just us.
And,
yeah. So much fun. We were laughing at everything. We just enjoyed it. It was so fun to watch everything.
it was interesting experience. we went into a small room and just had a little drop down screen, and he had a projector and we watched it. And it was cool. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest movie, but
it was more private. Yeah.
But if we're laughing sometimes at things that maybe are not intentionally supposed to be funny, how is Neil kind of reacting to this?
To me, I feel like he was very happy with it. Like he already said it was going to be the greatest film of all time.
Yeah.
So we were like, if you say so, Neil, like this is literally, your world.
Yeah.
When you're watching a Neil Breen film, you're in his head.
Yeah.
So that is
true. Yeah.
That is his masterpiece.
Yeah. And he even that day before we watched the movie, like he was like, you guys are gonna love it. It's gonna be the best.
Yeah. And he instilled this in our head from the get-go. So like we're like, we're proud. We're proud, because he's Neil Breen and he's a great guy, and he brings you into his world, his fantasy world, and he's not lying.
Because obviously, I think you're probably aware that there are the section of fandom out there who feel that these films are so bad they're good. Where do you stand on that? Because you've worked with him.
He loves to be serious. He's very serious about his work.
He's dead serious about what he's doing and what he thinks he is creating.
And he has fun on set too. Like he always makes us laugh. Like he's a really charming and all around funny guy.
He's very goofy.
He's genuine.
And super dry humor.
That's why people now we were like, we see why everybody loves it, because he's actually he's real.
Yeah,
he's a real person.
And I don't think any of it is a joke to him.
No,
everything is what he is trying to get across is the best work he is trying to create, and everybody is going to have their own judgment and perspective or whatever, and who cares? I don't think it's like the greatest movies ever, but as long as he's having a good time it's good to him,
right?
I think it's great because he gets to do what he loves.
Yeah.
Did you get to know Neil at all as a man, as a human being, as a personal individual, is he a family man? Did you find out anything about him? Did you get to know anything?
I don't know about his family. We didn't really get to know about his family.
About his private stuff, but he did tell us some stories that
told us some
really cool
stories. Yeah, his past.
He shared it.
Yeah. I don't know if we could. He would like us to talk about it,
but he did tell us.
Yeah,
we did see another side of him too.
Yeah, that's what made us like him even more.
Yeah,
he's just such a good,
such a caring
real person.
Guy.
Yeah.
Are we talking about his jobs? Or are we talking about trauma or childhood or
architect job?
Yeah, his past, his careers, some of his past, very interesting
people
and unique experiences.
And known.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
And I think one of the cool experiences I enjoyed, but it was also thinking about it. It was kind of scary. There was a day where he brought in like a scaffolding that was.
Did he?
It was maybe like 10 feet tall or something, and we had to climb up there and basically jump down onto like a air mattress.
Oh, that was fun.
It was a lot of fun, but it was like we were doing stunts.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly like the safest stunts, but we just went for it. Yeah.
Because would I be right in saying that footage wasn't used in the film?
It was used.
I
think it was the parts where it didn't seem like a big deal, but we're like jumping off the stairs onto the ground or something. But yeah, in real life, we had to jump off like a 10-foot scaffolding.
But Eric always wants to do that kind of shit.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was fun.
And you can follow Eric on Instagram at It's Eric Lum and Judy at I Am Judy Lay. Please also go and subscribe to their Perfectly Imperfect podcast, Lumba1, which is LUMBAONE. There you'll find that they interview inspiring individuals who have overcome adversity and achieved great success, as well as discussions on personal development, mindset, health and wellness, relationships, and much more. And of course, I'd like to give my usual overwhelming thanks, not just to Eric and Judy, but again to Landon and Kevon there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that brings episode 12 of My Scene with Breen to a close. Please do all the liking, subscribing, rating, word of mouth, please. It really does make a difference. Next time, not sure what I'll be bringing you. There's a few irons in the fire and a few things already recorded, but I'll try and make sure you're not waiting another 2 months this time. I'm gonna get off now. I am in the process of revamping, renovating my little man cave, study, box room, whatever you want to call this, where I record. It's quite a small room, so I'm thinking of going for something quite radical maybe, just to really revitalise it. I'm thinking of maybe covering all 4 walls in black Bing bags. Yeah, I think that'll work quite nicely.
You've been listening to My Scene with Breen, a Neil Breen podcast and a Bite My Thumb production. Your host was Neil Knight. Bite My Thumb can be followed on Twitter or X at Bite My Thumb, on Twitch at twitch.tv/bitemythumb, on YouTube at bitemythumbtv, or on Letterboxd at bitemythumb. All music was written and created by Cotsplays. He can be followed on Twitch at twitch.tv/Cotsplays, where every Saturday morning at 12 p.m. he'll be making live music. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and rate this episode.